She a baddie, she know she a 10. She a baddie, she know she a 10. She a baddie, she know she a 10. She a baddie and her baddie friend. I just got these glasses and I'm really feeling myself, okay? They just came in the mail today from Pretty Little Thing. 50% off, period. Love them, love them, love them. So I'm feeling myself. But anyway, this has nothing to do with what the video is about. The video is actually about, let me make sure my hair looks decent. Today, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about building deep and healthy friendships. I'm so excited about this topic because this topic is so important to me. Everyone that knows me knows that I am a girl's girl. One thing about me, I love my girlfriends, and it's an area of my life that is extremely fruitful. I do not lack in this area, and I'm gonna brag on God about this. This area is so fruitful in my life. I have such deep and healthy friendships. I actually struggle with taking on more because I'm like, everything is good here, God. I don't think I need any more. But obviously, as God sends more, I am willing. But I love this topic because I realize that a lot of us don't know how to be good friends. We don't know how to build deep and healthy friendships because it's truly not something that we're taught. And a lot of us have to fall hard and have bad experiences, and some of us decide like, hey, you know what, this isn't even an area that I want to grow in, and this is not even, I don't even want friends. And I really want to be able to speak to that and give you guys tips on how to build deep and healthy friendships, because it is so life-giving when you have people that you can call up, people that you can go and hang out with, people that you can just share the depths of your heart with. There is nothing better, you know. I truly love, you know, being married and having a husband, but I think that there's something that you get from girlfriends. It's just different, and I just want people to understand that there's more. Like, God has more for you, even in the area of friendships, and I really wanted to be able to speak to that because, listen, we're gonna learn, we're gonna go deep, and I know that these tips that I'm gonna share today really can be used in love relationships as well. And yeah, I just want to impart the wisdom that I've learned over the years, and because it's an area that I feel like is super fruitful in my life, I can speak to you guys on it. So let's get into the video. So I've got my notes here because there's just a lot that I want to get into, but I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible because I do want it to be concise and just easy for you guys to follow along. So I think it has become really clear to me that a lot of us want deep and healthy friendships, but we don't know how to go about it. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that within Christian culture, where we do talk about relational things is mainly with like finding a godly husband, finding a godly wife, tips in marriage and all of that. And I feel like, yes, while those things are great, friendships is such an underrated blessing to have in your life, and we don't really talk about it a lot in the Christian community. So I feel like we are really just winging it as we go. And I think that, yes, while a lot of things do apply to our like love relationships that we're taught in the church, there are also a lot of things that can be a little bit different because it's a platonic relationship and it's a friendship. And I think especially when it comes to girls, like we can be really emotional, and like there's just different aspects and things that play into a female friendship. So I think that that's just a gap in the Christian community that we need to fill. So I really want to be able to help kind of fill that gap and speak to it because it is something that's truly really, really important to me. So I have a few tips here. I have my notes. So I'm gonna go into it. The first thing is first. We need to pray about the person that we are desiring a friendship with, we are desiring to go deeper with, whatever the case is, because God knows the heart of man, okay? He knows the heart of the person. While you may be like very moved by this individual and whatever the case is, God knows their character. He knows what's really going on in their heart. He knows if this person's for you. And I think a lot of the times we jump into friend relationships because we're like, oh, well, I like this girl, I like how she dresses, or I like this, I like that. And it's based off a lot of these surface things, but we don't know the person. we don't know their heart. We don't know if this is a relationship God has for us. And it takes us praying and asking God, Lord, this is somebody that I'm interested in. What do you have to say about this person? What is this person's heart like? Like, is this a relationship that you have for me? And I think that's really good to set the tone, because then the Lord can show you and reveal to you, yes, this is a relationship I have for you. Yes, this person is a go, you know, and we need that cosign from God before we jump into any relationship. So that's first things first. The second thing is reciprocity is required, okay? Like, I can't preach this enough. I've said this 1,000 times. Amanda, my best friend, last year I spoke at Confident Woman conference with her, and we did a friendship panel and we talked about reciprocity. This is so key. You cannot expect to build a deep relationship with someone if you are not giving back in return. When it comes to your time, when it comes to conversation, it cannot be one-sided. You guys both have to do the work and really give to each other so that the relationship can be mutually beneficial. You cannot have a healthy and thriving relationship if it is not give and take on both sides. It cannot be one-sided. You guys both need to put the work in. I don't care what your struggle is when it comes to, like, maybe I'm not the best texter, or no, I don't have a lot of time, or whatever it is. You know, I think we're all busy, and I get it. I totally do understand. But you cannot expect to build a friendship with somebody if you guys are not both putting in the effort. It takes two. It takes two, okay? So I needed to say that as well. This leads me into my next tip, which is intentionality is required for a friendship. You need to take the time out, girl. Come on. You need to take the time out. Like, if you are interested in somebody, it takes nothing to say, you know what, I'm going to carve out 10 minutes out of my day today, 30 minutes out of my day today, or an hour out of my week, whatever it looks like for you in your schedule, to say, I am going to take the time to spend time with this individual. I want to maybe get on a FaceTime with them. I want to take 30 minutes and text them back and forth. I want to plan a lunch hangout if you guys are in the same city or whatever the case is. Like, you need to carve out that intentional time to get to know this person, because if not, you can say, oh, I'm interested in a friendship with you, or like, oh, I really want to, you know, go deeper with you. But then if that intentional time is not carved out, then it's going to continue to be this surface relationship, and really it's just not going to go very deep, because you both haven't taken that intentional time to carve out in your schedules to get to know each other. It kind of just makes me think about, like, me and my husband when we were dating. Like, we spent a lot of time, especially in the beginning, to get to know each other and to grow in our love and care for each other, because it required time being put aside. And I wouldn't have taken him seriously if he didn't carve out that time for me. And I'm sure he wouldn't have taken me seriously if I didn't carve out that time for him either. So yes, intentionality is required. And I do believe that goes without saying, but I think that there's this thing where a lot of people are like, yeah, low maintenance friendships. I get it. I get the whole low maintenance thing. Like, yes, you can't be like expecting somebody to be up your butt all the time and vice versa. But I do think that if you want to go deeper with somebody, then it requires intentional time. You can't go deep without taking that time out. So yeah, that's my take. The next tip is open and honest communication from the very beginning is so key. So key. One thing that my friend Amanda and I did when we were forming our relationship was we were just so open and honest with each other. We'd say, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in this friendship. You know, like, I want to go deeper with you, but these are my hindrances. I'll give you guys an example. For me, because of my friendship trauma in the past, I felt like if somebody did one thing, like one negative thing, I was like, I'm not interested in you. You know, like, if I saw one blind spot, I was like, I'm not gonna go there because of my past experiences. And I was scared that if I saw one negative thing, then that would just lead to our relationship just like crumbling. So I would feel like, you know what, let me just reject this person before they could reject me. And that was my way of going about it. And it was obviously just like trauma. And her thing was, like, she was like, I'm not the best texter, and it's not that I'm not interested in you, it's just that it's hard for me, you know? And one thing that we did to really counteract that was we would just set that time aside, and we would just continue to affirm each other and affirm how interested we were in each other, so that the other person never had this thing going through their mind where they were like, oh, she's not texting me, she's not interested in me, or oh, she's being distant and this is why. And it just really helped to fortify our relationship, because we were just always honest. Like, there was no room for darkness because we were honest with each other. And I think that really helped us build just wisely, because we were just always over communicating like, hey, this is our blind spot, like this is a blind spot that I have, but I want to go deep with you. This is a blind spot I have, but let's do the work. And it was so helpful. It was so helpful. We always just carved out the time for each other, and we did a lot of work to counteract those blind spots. And I really appreciated that about our relationship, and it helped us build our friendship on such a solid foundation. And to this day, it's still thriving and healthy, and I really credit it to the open and honest communication that we had with each other in the very beginning. We did the work, and that shows today. I think when a relationship is in its infancy, it's so easy for that relationship to break, and for any little thing, any misunderstanding, any miscommunication to come in and break that relationship, which is why open and honest communication from the very beginning will really help to solidify the foundation of your relationship, and really help to like not allow for any second guessing, any doubts, because you guys are just over communicating and sharing like, hey, I care about you. Like, I know I didn't text you in the past week, but I want you to know I really am interested in this friendship. I know I didn't show up very well this past month. I'm sorry, that's a blind spot of mine. I'm very interested. I know recently when I was pregnant and I was really tired and I was just having a hard time in my pregnancy, but I was like pulling away a lot from my friendships because I was just so tired. It really wasn't even something I was doing intentionally. It was just I felt like I didn't have the bandwidth because I was pregnant, and I just wasn't being intentional with my friendships. And that was something that my good friend Amanda called me out on. She was just like, hey, like, I miss you. Like, I feel like you're not really like putting effort and energy in like emotionally, and like I really miss you. Like, let's make that change. And it was so helpful because she was able to call out something that I was doing and help us to get back on track. And it was sweet and loving, and that really has been the cadence of our relationship. Like, that's something we've always done from the very beginning. And I think that once you start doing that from the beginning, it helps the relationship to build a pattern of that, because then it's not something that you're just doing out of nowhere, but it's like, no, this is the history, this is how we've always acted with each other, and it fortifies your friendship. I think one of the best things you can do is set the tone for open and honest communication in your friendships by communicating your desire for that friendship, by saying like, hey, I'm interested in you right off the bat. I want to be friends. I always love when people do that. I think it's so straightforward. I think it's clear. There's no second guessing for me, and I appreciate it a lot. And I think that needs to be done more, instead of just like, oh, we're hanging out and we're spending time together and it's like, oh, I think we're cool, I think we are friends, I think this. It's like, no, let's eliminate all that second guessing by saying in the beginning, I'm interested in you. This is something that I would like to take further when it comes to like building a deeper friendship with you. Let's do it. And just being honest about your blind spots and being honest about where your shortcomings are from the very beginning is so helpful for someone, and really takes away all of that doubt, because you're being honest and sharing with the person like, hey, this is what I want, these are my intentions. It's the same thing in a love relationship. Like, you're not taking a guy seriously if he's not being clear with his intentions. And I think we need to have that same energy for our friendships, because I think sometimes what can happen in a female friendship is it's like, oh, I don't want to be vulnerable, I don't want her to think that she's all that, I don't want this, I don't want that. And it's like, no, like, we need community, we know that, we need friendships. We know that. And hey, like, I'm interested in you. I want to be friends with you, and vice versa. And I think it just builds such a sweet foundation from the very beginning, and it will help you guys to build a pattern of open and honest communication throughout your friendship. The next tip is be a giver. Be a giver with your time. Be a giver if you have the means. I would say be a giver even with like getting somebody something small, like a token of appreciation or something that says, I see you, or I heard when you told me you liked Starbucks, so I got you a $10, $20 Starbucks gift card, or I know you love drinking tea, I got you a mug. You know, it doesn't have to be over the top, but I think that is beautiful and also sets a tone for giving in your relationship from the very beginning, and generosity, because we love that. We're girls, you know, we love to be pampered, and what's wrong with getting that from your friend? It's beautiful, and it just creates a really beautiful spirit of giving in your relationship. It's always better to give than receive, and I think that when we start off any relationship with a giver's mentality, it helps to build this friendship where it's like, no, we're both giving to each other, and it's this mutually beneficial, healthy, like, give and take relationship. And I think that being able to do that in a friendship is so beautiful. Recently, I was talking with a friend, and she shared that there's something that she really wanted, and she was just sharing it in passing, and I got it for her because I know what that does for me when I know that there's something that I want or something that I've been thinking about but I haven't, you know, made my way over to get it yet, and somebody just goes ahead and gets it for me. It makes me feel like, wow, you're being thoughtful. Wow, you actually do care about me. Wow, like you were listening to me when I said what I said. And that is so special in any relationship, even a platonic friendship. So I think being a giver is good, and being a giver with your time. Never be afraid to take time aside to give this person your energy, and to give this person like, hey, like, what have you been going through? How can I help? How can I serve you? That's really important in any relationship as well. So be a giver. This next tip is one of the most important tips, I would say, and that is, don't be in a haste to label the relationship. I cannot express this enough. I think that we get so excited when we meet somebody that we really like, and we're like, yes, oh my gosh, that's my girl, we're friends, like, we're this, we're that. Just give it time. It takes time sometimes for somebody's character to be revealed. I think once you've prayed about it, it's also important to study this person and analyze this person and take the time out to see, like, how do they respond in conflict? How do they react when I share a win? Are they a jealous and envious individual? Like, these things take time for you to figure out, and those questions are only answered as you take the time to analyze this individual. I think that's wisdom. You don't want to go labeling somebody a friend, and then 2 weeks later you find out like they're like the most evil person in the world. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. I think a lot of the times we get so excited and we label a friendship in its infancy, and it's not supposed to be a friendship. Maybe it was just supposed to be an acquaintance type relationship, or maybe it was somebody that you were supposed to be mentoring, or whatever the case. I think for it to be a friendship, it has to be somebody that's your peer. It has to be somebody where you guys are both going to be willing to give and take. You guys are both going to be intentional. You guys both have a certain level of character, and you don't know that if you're just quickly running off labeling this relationship a friend, and then as time passes on, this person's character reveals himself, and it's actually not somebody of good character and not somebody you want to be in friendship with. So when you take the time to actually label a friendship, you know, hey, I've done my due diligence. This person's checked out not only with me, but with other people that's around me. They've showed themselves to be, you know, a good person, a person of good character. Their reputation precedes them. Like, these are all things that you're not going to know if you label a friendship within a week or two of knowing somebody. To be honest, maybe this is like crazy, but for me, it takes me maybe a good few months before I say somebody's my friend, because I know that it takes time for people to reveal themselves, and I'm not about to go calling somebody a friend when I don't know their character. Like, it's just not wise. So I would encourage you guys to do that as well. Don't be quick to label a relationship a friendship. just don't be quick to do it, because it takes time for you to study and analyze somebody. This is something that my best friend Amanda and I did as well. We took the time to label our relationship. We took a few months, honestly, because it also helps take the pressure off of like performing, doing things too soon in a relationship. I felt like we were able to take our time, we paced ourselves, and we walked through a lot of like healing together of like past relationships. And we wanted to make sure that we weren't bringing that into our friendship, and not putting a label on it was so helpful for us to do that. And we labeled it when we both felt like it was time. And that was after a few months. I'm still so grateful that that was something that we did. I think it was extremely wise at the time, and I still do that to this day. To this day, I still take months before I label somebody a friend, and that practice has never let me down. So I encourage you guys to do that as well. And the last thing is, don't be afraid to have hard conversations. There is this saying, it's having hard conversations don't break relationships, but never having the hard conversations do. I know in the past for me, whenever I had something that was bothering me about a person, this is like back in high school and university, I was so immature in my friendships, and I knew that like when something was bothering me, like I was never gonna say it. And if I did say it, it was after a buildup of a lot of time and a lot of issues. And then at that point, there were so many things shoved under the rug that it would just be a big blow up. It would be like highly emotional, really passionate, and it just wouldn't go well. And then me and this friend, like we would just stop talking for months because of just how hurtful those blow ups were. Whereas if there's something small that you see, you've prayed about it, you've processed it, you've maybe bounced it off of somebody else and heard what they had to say about it, and then you approach your friend, this is so helpful in relationships because it allows you to deal with the things as they come, like immediately. And then there's never a big blow up because you guys are just having the hard conversations. You've built a practice of having hard conversations throughout your relationship. This is so important because, especially in the beginning, you know, because I think in the beginning when somebody doesn't know you and you don't know this person, it can be easy to be ticked off by a little thing that they did because they don't know you. Like they don't know your buttons. They don't know, you know, what is gonna tick you off. Whereas when you have those hard conversations in the beginning, like, hey, you know what? This is something that I don't like. This is something that bothers me. This is something that, you know, reminds me of my past. And you're just honest about that. It creates a really good relationship because you guys are just always honest and always having those hard conversations, and you never shy away from them. My strongest friendships are withstanding today because I don't shy away from having the hard conversations. I say like, this bothers me. I don't like this. Blah, blah, blah. And we talk about it and we process, and we do it obviously in a healthy way. We let God in the mix. We pray about it. There's so many things, you know, but being afraid to have the hard conversations over time will ruin your relationship, and it will also hinder you guys from going deeper. So just make sure that you have those hard conversations from the very beginning. Don't be afraid of that. I think we can all agree that we have blind spots and past traumas that affect the way that we go about life and affect the way that we show up in friendships. And because of that, when you have those conversations with somebody from the very beginning, it helps you guys to navigate each other and learn to love each other and care for each other and steward each other's souls well. And you can't do that if you're not willing to have the hard conversations, especially with somebody that you're trying to go deeper with somebody that you're trying to build a deep friendship with. I cannot tell you the amount of times where a relationship of mine in high school didn't pan out the best way because I didn't navigate those relationships well. I didn't share, you know, what was bothering me. And it's so important to be able to do that. Having conversations with somebody that you desire to be friends with is so important. Doing the deep work is so important. And I think that because it's so uncomfortable, a lot of us don't want to do it. But you have to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations because that's what builds deep relationships that thrive and that have roots that are so deep in the ground that even when a hard season comes in your relationship, it's not going to be rocked because you guys have built a culture of having hard conversations, showing up for each other, doing the uncomfortable thing, and that's what's important. And the last thing that I want to say is count the cost. Count the cost, guys. Like, I think we're so frivolous about the word friend, which is why I don't give it out much, honestly. I don't. I give it out when I really believe like we've both done the work, we've shown each other that we're interested in this, and we've learned each other, and this is something that we want to do and we want to take it seriously. And I understand that this person values friendship on the same level that I do, if not more. Those things show me like, you know what? I'm ready to go into this with this person. And too many of us don't count the cost. I think it's a high cost to call somebody a friend. Even scripture talks about how there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother, that sticks closer than blood. And that comes with work, that comes with time, that comes with effort, that comes with energy, that comes with having the hard conversations, that comes with being open and honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Count the cost. Because if you count the cost from the beginning, you're gonna know what it takes and you're gonna be willing to do it. There's so much joy, and friendships are so life-giving, and I can't tell you guys the amount of just peace and love, and my life is so full because of my friendships. And obviously I have other blessings as well, like I'm a mom and a wife, and all of those things are blessings and make my life full too, but my friendships make my life so full as well. And that comes because I've counted the cost and I've done the work. So if you know that you're in a season where you're like, listen, I'm gonna be so busy, I don't have the time for this, or I don't have the energy for this, or then don't do it, because this is another person's soul, okay? And I just want you guys to understand how important it is. We have so many women that are walking around this world hurt because a friend wronged them, hurt because somebody did something, betrayed their trust, whatever the case is in a friendship. And I think that if we counted the cost a lot more, we wouldn't just dive deep into these relationships. We'd understand what it means to call somebody a friend, and we do the work required to maintain this friendship and to go deeper in the friendship. So count the cost. Look at the season that you're in. Is this the season for it? Can I do this? And that's okay if you're in a season where you feel like, you know what, I don't have the time to go into a friendship with somebody, especially a new friendship. That's totally fine. Then maybe it'll be time in the next season, and that's okay too. I just think that we need to analyze the seasons of life we're in and then be able to say, okay, I can do this. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to put the work in, and I want to learn this person more. And that's a beautiful thing, I think, when we truly count the cost before we jump into a friendship. So yeah, I hope this video really helps you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Friendships is just something that I could talk about forever. Like I said, it's a season that I've sown so many seeds in, so many tears in, and because of that, I really believe I've reaped with joy over the last few years, and God's been so good and so faithful to me because I've done the work. And I want that for you guys. I know that there's so many women, and I was like this too, that were like, I don't even want a friend because they be doing too much and like they don't know how to be friends, and I don't want to be friends. And it's like, no, I really believe God has so much more for us in the area of friendships, but it requires us sowing seeds. And maybe you're in your sowing seeds phase, and that's okay. But as you are sowing your seeds, I wanted to be able to impart just some wisdom to you guys that will help you to sow those seeds in the right way so that you can reap in seasons to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment below. If you want me to talk more about friendships, please give me ideas. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around. Watch another video. Bye guys.